Why is it important to resist gender-based violence for the benefit of culture and religion? In the 2019 Annual Human Development Report, the world situation about challenges of inequalities is analyzed on a global scale. It was emphasized that in addition to existing types of inequality, a new gap, a gap in the area of higher education and access to first data connections has appeared. Nowadays, people who do not have an access to communications and internet are stuck at the same level, not having perspectives for further development. At the same time, climate change, gender inequality, and armed conflict continue giving a rise to both basic inequalities and new disparities. As noted in the Human Development Report, failure to address these systematic problems will further exacerbate inequality and entrench power and political dominance of minority. In the table of the Human Development Index, Kyrgyzstan is included in the list of countries that has a medium level of human development and is on 122nd place. Unfortunately, some groups of people are systematically disadvantaged in many ways. These groups can be determined by ethnicity, language, gender or caste, or simply by the fact whether they live in north, south, east, or west of the country. There are many examples of such groups, but women are undoubtedly the largest group in the world. Gender imbalances are universally one of the most entrenched forms of inequality. Since these adverse conditions affect half of the world's population, gender inequality is one of the serious obstacles for human development. All states are accountable for protection and promotion of women's rights, yet millions of women around the world are still discriminated. Laws and politics deprive women of the right to equal access to land, property, and housing. Economic and social discrimination leads to the limited life choices for women, making them vulnerable to human trafficking. Gender-based violence affects at least 30% of women worldwide. Women are denied their sexual and reproductive rights. In Kyrgyzstan, women are 30 times more likely to die during child delivery than women in Belarus, Italy, Norway, or Poland. Women, the human rights defenders, are expelled from their communities and considered as a threat to religion, honor, or culture. The critical role of women in peace and security is often overlooked, as well as the special risks they face in conflict situations. Moreover, some groups of women face multiple forms of discrimination, and the gender run in parallel due to such factors as age, ethnicity, disability, and social and economic status. Harmful gender stereotypes should be erased so that women are no longer considered in terms of what they must do, but in terms of who they are. Unique individuals having their own needs and desires, playing a key role both within the family and in public, political, and cultural life of the country. Before the pandemic, the countries of Central Asia worked together, collaborating at the regional conferences to resist gender-based violence for the benefit of culture and religion. But unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic and its effects negatively affected the process of joint work. As a result, the situation of rights of girls, women, youth, and vulnerable groups has worsened, and home has become one of the most dangerous places for women who continue to be victimized as a result of inequality and gender stereotypes. According to official data, violence has increased by 65% in comparison to the same period of the last year. 54% of men and 41% of women responded that they are aware where to seek support in case of someone is subjected to domestic violence. But at the same time, 33% of women and 30% of men answered that they would not request such help. During the quarantine period, only 9% of respondents contacted hotlines to receive assistance. Savia Hasanova, the data journalist, provided very brief but real picture of the situation of women and girls while studying the election programs of the candidates for the presidency of the Kyrgyz Republic. In Kyrgyzstan, 8 out of 10 murders of women are committed by men. Over the last decade, 1,696 girls under the age of 18 and only 43 boys have been married. The number of female students of technical specialties in universities comprises only 1/3 of all students of these specialties. A woman earns 72 som versus 100 som earned by a man. Working women in Kyrgyzstan spend 3 times more time for housekeeping than men. 96% of perpetrators of domestic violence are men. Basically, those are husbands who beat their wives. Out of all business leaders, only 28 are women. Over past 4 years, the number of deputies in Jogorku-Kenesh did not exceed 20 women. This is 17% of all deputies. Throughout the world, fundamentalists are increasingly being used culture and religion to justify violent crimes against women and girls. They mobilize forces, promote introduction of new policies and programs, create a culture of impunity, promote reactionary laws and traditional practices, increase their influence, and threaten and attack those who oppose discriminatory practices. Before our eyes, a significant negative reaction to empowerment of women is being developed. Anti-gender movements are being grown, which confirms rigidity and prevalence of violence against women, existence of its social base and the fact of normalization of such violence. But how can we confront gender-based violence which is justified by religious fundamentalism? It is necessary to analyze the original challenges associated with religious fundamentalism in the field of women's rights and the reason of its growth. Conduct a discussion with representatives of religious organizations to find out about their positions in relation to women's rights. Develop early response mechanisms for cases of violence against women human rights defenders. Ensure mutual support of women's organizations and other interested parties in the fight against gender-based violence, inequality, and gender injustice. To promote gender equality, it is important to work with mass media to ensure transparency, public sensitization, and involve active citizens in the decision-making process at all levels of decision-making. What we are witnessing today is the top of inequality wave. What is waiting for us in the future depends on our choice. Just as inequality starts from birth, determining freedom and opportunities for children, adults, and the elderly, and transmits to the next generation, so the principles and rules adopted to combat inequality can follow the same life cycle.